This interview is brought to you in association with Rabobank.
Hello and welcome to this Rural Delivery online interview. I'm Roger Bourne. Joining me today is Sydney-based Business Programs Manager for Rabobank, Nerida Sweetapple. Nerida, thanks for speaking with us.
You're welcome, Roger.
Nerida, you work in a really interesting space, an area where the bank's decided that it's got a role in helping to upskill farmers and those involved in agribusiness across the board. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. I do work in a very interesting space, and it's a space that continues to grow and merge. I am responsible for the business management programs at Rabobank, the executive program and the farm managers program. And this is a space where very much is part of our role as a bank to actually help our farmers to develop management skills and business skills to help them shore up their businesses and start to grow their businesses and take more control of what they can do. And we're making available business management training really specifically for farmers that a lot of corporates get access to, but not so much in rural industries. And so we're allowing that process to happen through our programs.
It's a more complicated world farmers have to deal in. They've got input costs, the nature of the markets being very volatile, the financial products they're dealing with, the regulatory environment they're dealing with, the employment environment they're dealing with. How do you bring all those things together into a course or a series of courses that is bespoke for farming? Because they do apply across the board, but I sense that there is a gap there, that specific information in the farming environment is missing. Is that what you're trying to deliver?
We do. You're absolutely right. The complexities of what farmers have to deal with is growing. They have to be OH&S experts. They have to be the financial controllers, the marketers, all those sorts of things that, again, in corporate worlds, you'd have a specific person to do each of those roles. And where the programs are focused is actually on the whole manager, so the person who's in the business. And we take a 360-degree view of that person. So we're actually dealing with the person themselves, how they operate, how they think, how they deal with other people, so how they work with staff, contractors, suppliers, and also how they run their businesses. So it's very much a full view of a person who has to run a business, because they have to be across so many things. And I think that your point about everything they have to deal with, it's interesting because when we speak to farmers across Australia and New Zealand and also across the world, the same issues come up time and time again are the things that they're grappling with, which is the rise of input costs, getting good staff, keeping good staff, volatility in markets and how they manage it. And the programs are designed to actually give people the skills very much in a rural setting so that they can actually start to plan for their businesses so that these sorts of impacts these issues have less impact on their business, but also they're more in control of their business and where it's going. They're more in control of who they work with, who's working for them, what their supply contracts are like, etc. So it really gives them those basic skills to develop this and to develop a plan for their business so that they can actually start to execute that and take more control.
So there's two courses. One's a farm managers program, the other's an executive development program. What's the difference between those two?
The key difference is that the executive program is really designed for people who are in the driver's seat. The buck stops with them. They are in control of it entirely. So they're the people who have owned or do own the farm or the operator or the agricultural business and have done so for 5 years. And the farm managers program is for the next generation of farmers, so people who are working for other people, for family members, or for corporate farms who want to or one day will own their own farm or just be in a very much of a senior position. So it's very much about a basic career development and starting to get some really good fundamental management skills on board so that they can actually start to drive that career path and decide where they're going to go. And so both the programs are essentially still the same, but I guess if you wanted to talk about one first year entry level into business management skills, and the other one's probably an honours mini MBA.
And how do people identify themselves as saying, hey, I need these skills, or hey, I'm up to this next challenge of taking my skill set to another level? Does the bank work with you to do that, or do people apply? What does the process look like?
Well, people can apply for the programs. Anybody can apply. You don't need to be a client of Rabobank. there is a process by which we select people to attend the programs. But the people who are applying are people who are forward-thinking. They want to move their businesses. They want to get on with life, and I guess they're possibly a little bit frustrated with a couple of things that they're not being able to deal with properly, or know where they want to go or how to get there. And so they're looking for something to help them take that next step and move forward. So they're the sort of people who are applying. They're progressive. They're good thinkers. They're not necessarily tertiary educated, but they want to go places in their agricultural career and move their businesses forward.
And good for them. And the courses themselves, what's the environment look like with them? Large groups, small groups? Are they residential? How does it work?
Look, the environment's a really actually fun environment, and I think it's important for people to know that it's not a threatening environment. And whilst I might compare things to a mini MBA, it's very much a safe learning environment for people who haven't necessarily been to school past year 10 maybe, or haven't been to school or in a classroom for a long time. They're residential programs, so the joy of that is that people get away from their farms and their business operations, and they can really look at their businesses from a different point of view, really take an outsider's point of view and really look critically at what they're doing without still being caught up in the day-to-day business of who didn't shut the gate. And they are with 36 other farmers, leading farmers, so they often feed off each other and learn a lot from each other, as well as what they learn from the presenters and the subjects that we actually cover.
Who are the presenters you bring in? I understand the focus here is on bringing on people who actually work in the agricultural sector. You're not trying to do this cross-learning when you say, well, this is how it works in retail, or this is how it works in banking or something like that. This is really real examples of how farm or agribusiness management works.
So within that group of 36 people, they are all farmers from different enterprises and across different geographic locations. And we bring in experts in the field of business management or industry experts or academics, but we overlay our own rural knowledge and agricultural knowledge with those presentations, so that everything that they're dealing with in the program relates directly back into farming and agricultural operations. So you're not talking about learning skills out of context. You're learning skills that directly apply and can be applied agricultural settings. And so there's an immediate gain, is that people are in the program immediately thinking of how they can actually apply this to their businesses.
The executive program's been running since around 99, I understand. The Farm Managers program a little less time. You'll have had a fair few people through since then. Is there a good sort of alumni? Do people carry these relationships through and become a learning environment and a network later on in their careers?
They do. I think everybody forms new friendships on the programs, and certainly widens their network. We run an alumni tour each year, and this year we ran it up at Hawke's Bay in New Zealand, and that's designed to sort of continue that learning and widen the network. But people do, we always hear of people who have done the programs, who will visit people who they've met in the programs, ring them for advice, and certainly a lot more of them are saying over and over again, you must go and do this course.
Can you give us a couple of case studies, perhaps, or an idea of the difference it makes when somebody has these skills versus when they don't? What they're then able to do with their business or their career? The
sort of feedback we get from the programs is some people comment that it's life-changing, but a lot of people just are able to then leave the programs with the confidence and clarity to actually look at their businesses and make changes. So, for example, we've had people who have made simple changes, like just be able to develop better communication skills within their farming business, within their family, and that has made an enormous difference to them being able to influence where they want to go. Other people have completely changed their business models. The learning is very safe. We always make sure that people write. The executive program encourages people to actually write a business plan so that they actually can test out their ideas before going and doing them. Some people, more recently, a fellow told me that he had, after a benchmarking session on the program, suddenly realised that he was just doing too many things on the farm, and that he needed to actually simplify his operation, take some of the things out that weren't making the money. So he started to understand what the real drivers were of his business, and he could actually start to pull those levers and make them work much, much better for him. So lots of people take different things out of the program, but it's an overall view and clarity about where you're going to go, but also the skills that you need to actually start to make changes to your business.
I guess we're always saying that farming's changing, but today it does seem to be changing faster than ever. What are the drivers now that mean that really you've got to think about how you develop yourself before you can develop your business?
I think that's right. I think to stay ahead and be able to manage all the changes, you need to be a good manager. And I think that a lot of the conversations we have in the industry is that we need to attract young people into the industry and also make sure that the people in the industry have the ability to make good decisions and run good businesses. We talk about, investing in efficiencies and infrastructure and managing our resources, but so often we forget about the human capital that's in the businesses. And if you're running a business, you need to have the right specifications to do that. I think we always wonder whether we've got the right tractors or the right equipment or right assets in our farm. And I think that people sometimes forget that the people running the business are the greatest asset of all, and they should be able to have the ability to invest in themselves so that they can actually be very good business managers.
Great advice, Nerida. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Roger.
This interview was brought to you in association with Rabobank.